Hey, it's Spence from LaunchFlows. I just wanted to continue on the conversation. I like to share things as I'm building them. Oftentimes I find that's inspiring to me because of the feedback, but also because I think it's kind of fun when you get to see what's cooking under the hood. This is something I'm going to definitely release in the next day or so. Just really trying to see what things I want to add into it for the first version. So we're talking about the tabbed checkout, and the basic concept is that you don't necessarily with LaunchFlows have to either be stuck with the default checkout or to go to the trouble of customizing each of the components of the checkout. Rather, I'm providing a way that you'll have a singular short code. And I do want to emphasize short code because by giving you a short code, it will work with any of your page builders. But in this case, I'm using Gutenberg for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is that I can save this whole thing as a pattern. In the other videos, I had shown it as a one column. I want to show what I'm playing with here because I'm trying to emulate in this particular example something that looks a little bit more like Shopify, where it's a two column. I'm debating right now, and I probably will just offer it both ways, a one column version of this or a two column version that's responsive so that like here, you will have on the right hand column the order review, the coupon, the various payment fields, and on the left side will be more the information about the user. So I just wanted to show you how I'm doing it in this particular incarnation. Let me move myself out of the way a little bit. All I've done here is I've offered a different version of this where on the left-hand side would be, again, like the billing, the shipping, the payment information, and so forth. On the right-hand side would be the review. With LaunchFlows, we can move the payment button over to the right side. So what I may end up doing is simply, in this final incarnation, move this over as well. But the neat thing about this is it would give you the flexibility of getting both the responsive layout if you wanted, or just having it as a single column. And the only difference here is I just simply have the extra component for the review on the right-hand side. So not to make this any fancier than it has to be, but the notion in my mind is that the underlying theme will control most of your colors and the styling. So you could kind of see here, for example, I switched from my previous videos of being blue to red. I'm just allowing the customizer of the theme to do that. In this case, I'm using Astra, but it could be any theme. It could be Cadence, or it could be Elementor, their core theme. It doesn't matter much. Most every theme now will control the basic underlying choices. For example, like in the case of buttons, here's the button color, or you can have the main text color or the link color. If the underlying theme can handle all of that, then we don't have to worry about that because that'll just pass through to the various components, like in this case, the navigation or the buttons or whatever. The second thing is that I want to keep the styling clean. So you might have noticed I'm picking up some of the components like the radiused corners and the smaller labels and stuff just to give the feeling of the style. And I think it'll be easier if I just provide a variety of different shortcodes that have that baked into it, so as to override some of the underlying things that the style would do. In previous videos, I had shown how, like, for example, Divi is an awesome tool, but it's very heavy with imposing its will onto the components. You'll also notice here, I haven't modified this, but this is even Astra imposing a very heavy style upon what's going on with the WordPress order review table. So, the WooCommerce order review table. So what I may end up doing is to keep this simple, is just impose on the components a certain lightness, a certain style, a certain whatever, so that no matter which theme you drop them into, the things around it would still work normally in style. The colors would still work, but the meat and potatoes would not have all that fussiness. And the reason for that, and even like with the coupon, the reason for that is that because I have found now with hundreds and hundreds of users that the majority of people don't actually care about the nuances of the checkout style. They just really care about the mechanics. And if you are allowed to put all the pieces in as LaunchFlows does, it can oftentimes become very busy for a normal person to kind of set that up. You know, it's like putting together a model out of individual pieces versus buying a model ready to go that has a choice of different colors. It's much easier to buy the model ready to go. And I think by offering a variety of different checkout styles and components in this sort of pre-baked way, we're going to have a much nicer result and much quicker. I mean, one short code will give you a custom checkout layout. And I've shown this before, but just to, like go on how fast this can be. I love the fact that with Gutenberg, I can just do something like this. I can take an existing short code and I could say LF bump product equals 12. And just by itself, I've automatically added an order bump to the top of this, right? Now, if I want to also give it that amazing kind of like dotted line style or something, right? In this case, using Editor Plus, I'm just going to group this. I found this is effective. And then I take my border and I'll change this to the same color red, and I'll go with the dash style, 5 pixels. Now, this is an example of how LaunchFlows really makes this easier, because I don't have to be a designer. I don't have to be somebody who's super competent. But what I can do is customize the look and feel using the free plugin Editor Plus, and yet get the component I need just with a simple shortcode, right? LF bump product equals, and then put the ID. I don't know if I had to refresh the page to save this, so let me see if that's stuck. Now let's go ahead and refresh the page. When I'm making the videos, sometimes I have to be a little careful. As you can see, I got to move myself around. So let's just do this again. If I take this thing and I'll just group it, and then I'll go ahead and apply that border, same color, and I'll take the dashed line. Now I got the update available to me, and I refresh the page. And so now I've got this order bump component that looks really cool. And again, because this is a drag and drop, I can put this down below, or I can even move it over, to the right-hand side if I want. And by doing it this way, I can save it, share it, reuse it, or build it into what is going to be otherwise patterns that are available with LaunchFlows. So just one or two components makes it possible for a mere mortal to get the results they want, and then they can style it. And I want those of you who are listening this far or watching this far to realize how different this is than the other competing products on the market. With the other two major products that do sales funnels, you have a choice of existing predefined templates, but you have to use the specific templates on specific pages inside specific flows with specific products. And it's not a small thing. That is a framework, and to some people that's attractive, but I feel like that inflexibility is the opposite of what we offer here. Here, you make your components just right on the page with the default WooCommerce stuff, the default products, the default checkout components. LaunchFlows frees you up to make the products work as you wish and do things like, being able to throw a product into the cart on a one-page checkout. But it does not lock you into any pre-made flow or into any steps or into using a framework or any of that. Likewise, for marketing automation or for cart abandonment, I can use the products of my choice. As you know, I work with for the CRM, I'm very fond of using Fluent CRM these days. So natively with Fluent CRM, using WP Fusion, connecting to your favorite CRM, using your favorite, let's say, if you're doing e-learning, your favorite LMS, like Lifter LMS or LearnDash or whatever. The components of choice can be used with automation with this sales funnel, so you can have these amazing outcomes, like being able to directly offer onboarding to a free course and then upselling somebody into the paid course, but then depending on who the person is and what they bought, giving them a different outcome. That's all possible now with just a couple little simple pieces. And anyway, as you can tell, I'm kind of animated and excited about this. This has been a long time coming, because my biggest difficulty, let me move over again. My biggest difficulty thus far has been that the page builder war has sort of like made a fog of war confusion over which way are things going to land. And I was a big skeptic of whether or not we could rely upon using Gutenberg and then relying on just simple shortcodes versus what I had done for Elementor initially, which was to build widgets with very specific style components. Quite honestly, although that's not going to go away for the things we have, I don't see any value or benefit to carrying on that metaphor with any other page builders, because just by using the simple shortcodes and then using even your own individual page builder, or in this case Gutenberg, you can style the output of all of those things and then add to that the ability to have the complex sort of jQuery and tabbed, button operation here. I think we've got everything we need at the level of old school, back to the basics. One short code, a couple short codes, put them inside of a stylish wrapper, and you're good to go. Okay, so that's it. That's my just having a cup of coffee update for this morning. I hope to have this released, could be as early as today, could be tomorrow, but definitely in the next day or two. I want to see how far I go with the styling and whether or not, offering these options as like choice A, choice B, or doing a drop-down selector menu with like one component might be better. You know the drill. So that's it. If you have any comments or questions, please do ask where you see this video posted, because I love your feedback and it helps me to determine what to do with the future of the product. I'll see you on the next video.